What's up guys, I wanted to do a quick little demo of how I approach designing bosses for my platformer style games. But first, if you haven't, check out my Metroidvania Phantom Tides. It's available now on Steam with 20 boss battles and over 20 unlocks. Do keep in mind this is just my approach, but I do hope some find this helpful. And I'd also love to hear any tips from you guys as well. So typically the first thing I decide upon is what type of boss I'm trying to create. For example, let's use Jeff here.
My name is Jeff.
The first type that Jeff can be is one that moves and runs around in the same plane as the player. Next would be the type that just freely floats around in space, not being constrained by the platforms or the ground. And third is stationary. Basically, Jeff is just stuck here and not moving. Once I've picked one of those, my next decision is going to be, do they track the player or are they player agnostic? And by that I mean, are they aware of where the player is, and will that affect their movement or attacks in any way? Or will they run their course and do their attacks whether the player is there or not? Next we've got attacks, and similarly to the boss type, I place these in three basic groups: melee, projectiles, and area skills. And these would be like physical melee attacks coming from the boss that's wielding maybe a sword or some other weapon, or maybe even just from their claws, hands, or feet. Close range attacks. Projectiles would be anything from like shooting a gun, a bow and arrow, or some sort of skill that fires some sort of object at the player. And then area skills are just kind of be skills that spawn somewhere in the arena. And these can also be player aware or player agnostic. And basically, is the boss aiming the projectile, or are they just firing off randomly? With the boss type and some attacks defined, we can think about the arena a little bit. I like to avoid the plain basic flat arena when possible and mix it up with stuff like environmental hazards or platforms, maybe even gaps in the floors or changing environment, or even multiple arenas the player might be zoned out to during the fight. But one thing to think about here is the flow of the arena and the fight. If you design a big nice arena with the cool design mechanics, but the boss just lets you pogo on his head to death and doesn't keep the player moving around and using the arena, then it's a little bit of a wasted opportunity. Once we've got a good base for the boss fight, then we can throw in some mechanics to spice the fight up. This could be any little side activity that could be mandatory, that maybe insta-kills the player if they don't do it, or maybe optional that helps the player if they do accomplish it. Or maybe even as simple as added nuisance to the player that they just need to avoid. Or possibly something that needs to be done to get to a damage phase. Phases are also something I like to implement in battles, usually based upon health level or maybe the time of the battle. Might unlock new boss abilities or new areas and mechanics. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you want. And again, check out Phantom Tides. It's my solo developed Metroidvania. It's available now on Steam.